is now 6 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia. I can see the future. Actually, I can't see a darn thing because it is still night
Sun
out.
is setting. Oh, it's not
It
setting
is
yet.
still dark out. I have not a
Ah.
clue. And I haven't asked Siri because, frankly, I don't care what's going on outside. I'm here with the amazing Monette Tovarada, and you are too. And you're in for a fabulous treat because, young ladies and boys and girls and people of all persuasions, locations, and derivations, Monette is always willing to devote her experience and energy to support those who want to pinpoint their life's passions and personal strengths, bringing clarity to their goals and purpose. Now, that says a whole lot. So listen carefully here. She helps them focus on whom they desire to become in the future, not now, but in the future. And she steers people, especially women, towards recognizing their gifts. She continually searches for opportunities to make a difference in others' lives. Part of this is partnering with women in business. Monette loves coaching those who are ready to pivot and take the next step towards a different, exciting, sometimes scary stage in their lives. And I hope because I'm a guy, I'm not excluded from this, because if so, I'd be very upset. Ladies and gentlemen, talking about the power of community love, the amazing, the fabulous Monette Tovarada. Yay!
Thank you so much, Ken. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for being here, and I am going to go ahead and share. I'm going to put a PowerPoint presentation here. Please let me know if you can see this.
Oh, there we go. I see the crowd. I see the crowd. They all came to watch you. My goodness, this is pretty amazing.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Wouldn't you agree that community has been lost this days 2021? Why would I say that? So, how many of you have recently connected with your neighbor and been able to, walk to their house and maybe borrow a cup of sugar? Remember those days? Or even walk down the street to hear the kids playing and dogs barking in your neighborhood. How about getting together with friends and going wine tasting? I live here in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Napa's not too far. That's a vineyard. So we go there wine tasting. There is a lot of different kinds of community. Um, and also, community can change you, and it can also alter your perspective on life. Community, for example, could be a community. I'm a single person, a community of single people, a community of married couple, total opposite, community of equal rights, all kinds of different community. Even people who are in prison are in community, right? If a prisoner does something bad, they are isolated as a punishment of being makes them feel really disconnected. So COVID has broken us apart. Everyone, every day, we need to be connected. To be a part of some type of community. It's human nature to want to be a part of something, right? In the movie Castaway, how many of you have watched the movie Castaway? This is Tom Hanks. That's his character. He's stuck in a deserted island after a plane crash. He found Wilson. Wilson is a brand ball name, and he would talk to this ball because he needed a friend. Community is so important. What community? So let me ask you this: what community were you a part of before COVID? What did you miss about your community? Most of us become part of this community coming up in the state called the IRS community that's coming up in April, right? In a moment, I'm going to share how community can empower all of us. Hi, everyone. Ken was saying, my name is Monette Tovarada, and I believe we all want to be connected and communicate and build relationship. I also believe that we are all here for a reason, right? To help and serve each other. Thank you for allowing me to serve you today. World Love Week, oh my gosh, it's just a week, but this is what the world needs now. Why can't we extend it forever, right? World Love forever. Ken is awesome in what he does. He has such a big heart. Well, since we're going to be spending a little time together, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a transition coach and a trainer. I also founded this community called Business Women's Community, where women in business, we meet and help and support each other, not only professionally, but also personally as well. Women are more powerful when we work together. It's pretty awesome. You know, there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it really cares about. Margaret Willey. We are in a time where most of the worlds are being held hostage by coronavirus. It is a time when we are forced to be apart or distant from another. Even though we need each other, right now we need each other more than ever. It's a time that we can't be together. Schools are closed, jobs are being lost, homes are, you know, more broken than ever, and businesses are shutting down daily. But one thing comes to my rescue, though. One thing serves as a ray of light in what seems to be a never ending dark tunnel, and that is the community in which we find ourselves. I did my own, I conducted my own survey and wanted to know how people are surviving during COVID 19. So, what I found was 59% ranked family as being the most supportive. 24% said that it is friends that's most supportive, and 17% discovered others as other community being really supportive. Helen Keller once said, like it says there, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. Together, the power of community, it just really can't be overemphasized. Briefly, I'll be sharing with you my experience as an immigrant when I came from the Philippines, how difficult it was for me to find my place in society, how I felt and what I did to change that experience. I was 7 years old when I first arrived in the US. I first came with my mom. She had a professional visa. My siblings and my father came afterward. This isn't a picture of my family. It was a picture I found. I was trying to look for one, but I couldn't. So this is something I found on the internet. And, when we came here, I didn't have any friends and I felt so all alone. I didn't have a place where I felt I belonged, nor was I able to really hang out with somebody my own age. I miss my sibling. There's four of us in the family, two boys and two girls. I cried a lot, not knowing what was going on. I had no friends to keep me company. Again, it was just my mom and I. And I knew I had to do something. I would have to build my own community. I would have to learn how to pretty much do everything on my own. I eventually started making friends in school and in our neighborhood. It made me feel, oh my gosh, a lot better. Now I have somebody, I can hang out with and do, what kids do, kids stuff. Some of those friends, believe it or not, ever since it was elementary, they are still my friends now, which is pretty great. But as a result of this experience, the seedling of an idea about the importance of community began to grow within me. We all know some type of loneliness in our lives. And we're not meant really to be alone, to do things on our own. When I founded Business Women's Community, we used to meet face to face, which was great. We'd have guests. The guests would feel really welcome because it's a wonderful group of women. But now we meet virtually. And even though it's virtual, you could still sense people's vibration energy through virtual meeting, just like right now. The group have developed, there's a trust in each other. We help each other grow, and knowing that you're not alone. This community, Businesswoman's community, has helped, it has helped me with my business in areas of growth and collaboration. Sharing feelings is very more fulfilling. Being excited about, just meeting women, even though it's virtual right now. Some of us are just at home, but just being able to connect with other people, it's awesome. I feel more confident knowing that I'm not alone and have somebody to talk to. Having your own business is not really easy, right? We have family and friends sometimes we could talk to, but unless, they have their own business, it's really difficult for them to understand when you say, I've been working on this client, last minute they canceled, or they didn't show up. And just having other people that you can talk to, it's such a help. They understand the challenge of being a solopreneur. And for example, I was as I was saying, and also this group of women, some are just starting out, other women are very seasoned. Those who are just starting out can learn, and they can mentor them and help some of the errors that they made, mistake in being business. It's so important if you can find a mentor or a coach to help you with whatever you're going through in life. And so they can help you overcome some of those hurdles. Some of the women there, they have, I really promote collaboration, and collaboration is awesome. Couple of the members have collaborated, and one of the members had a home in Monterey that is about 60 miles south of San Francisco. It's a beautiful area near the beach. And what they did was they did skincare, yoga, massage on the beach. So they did a weekend retreat. And that's what happens when you have a community. People will collaborate, do something together where they can invite family and friends with them. So lessons, when my mom and I were alone, right? And moms alone, it's harder. But when they're in a community, it's so much easier for moms. How about solopreneurs? When solopreneurs are alone, had the name solopreneurs, but if you're in a community of other entrepreneur, it's so much easier. You're in a community of like-minded individuals, so much easier. Let's start with my definition of what community is. Community is a solar unit with a commonality such as norms, religion, value, custom, or identity. Community may also share a sense of place situated in a given, geographical area. It could be a virtual space, as I was saying earlier, through communication platform. Each and every one of us belongs to a community, a society, whether it's at a family level, it could be wherever you are, village, town, city, schools, or the world at large. But it's the relationship you have with a member of the community you belong to that determines how you feel. That is what determines whether also or not that you're feeling welcome. The community has helped me, as I was saying, in business in areas of growth and collaboration, sharing feeling of fulfillment, being excited about doing business, feeling more confident knowing that I'm not alone. It's very awesome. Having your own community is not easy. And this community has helped me a lot as I was in Businesswoman's community. And what we did was, hold on, we created the women's community, as I was saying. We had created a book, and this book is called Women Can. It's a collaborative effort because what we did is you can order it online. 100% of the proceeds of the book, it goes to a nonprofit. Again, this is a contribution support, and the book, again, entitled Women Can. And it's pretty awesome because I think it's really important in giving back. So in this book, these are women that will tell you that is part of Businesswomen's Community, some of the challenges they went through in life to be where they're at. And it feels so good to be able to give back to nonprofits. We do give back nonprofits. There are local in San Francisco Bay Area. A lot of them are women that have gone through some challenges in life, let's say. So how do you create a community? You could create a community. You can start off maybe as easy as having a book club or maybe a book in gardening, right? For example. So you can, and it's really easy if you want to do a book, read a book in regards to, gardening. You don't even really need a house. It's pretty simple. You just need a pot, some soil, and some seed. And you could meet, weekly, whatever you want to do to set up a virtual meeting with this community or whatever other kind of community that you want to create. There's also Meetup if you don't have your own. And in meetup.com, you can search whatever your interest might be. It doesn't have to be difficult, right? Whatever you like, and it's whatever interest you might have, but just start if you don't have one, right? How aware are you in your community? Do you know what it's about? The need for connection and community is primal. It's a fundamental as the need of, our air, food, water, as Dean Ornish would say. Community awareness often refers to a degree to which people generally know about each other, about social norms, people different roles within the community, as well as issue that might affect the community. A wise man once said, if your absence is not missed, then your presence was never needed. You need to make yourself known in any community and you find yourself in, to the point that when you're not around or when you're away, your presence will be missed. When I was young, living in the Philippines, I remember my grandfather. When he would come over, the kids in the neighborhood would come around, just like this picture. They would gather and sit around my grandfather. Of course, I would sit in his lap, and he would share his wonderful stories of adventure. We'd heard some funny stories that make us laugh, and sometimes he would tell us some scary story. I remember him saying, if you don't listen to your parents or behave, one evening, a bat will fly in front of you and turn you into a bat. During these times, there was about 8 kids. There was about 8 of us. But you know what? There was always these 2 siblings who'd always start a quarrel in the middle of my grandfather's story for whatever reason. My grandfather would stop in the middle of the story and say something encouraging to the 2 quarrelers. And my friends would look at them, and the Sue sibling would look at each other and start laughing. And after that, they got along just fine. There was, something about those stories, those moments in time that would pull us together quite strongly. Looking back, I now realize my grandfather and the neighborhood kids were part of a community. I'd like to talk about another person, Jane. Jane is actually, she is my brother-in-law's mother. In the late 70s, early 80s, She was a top woman in her field of finance. But back then, it was a man's world. She struggled because she was working in a male dominant field. Every day, she had to deal with being told she couldn't do her job because she was emotional, couldn't think critically, too feminine. She was a mother and told that she should be home taking care of her children, and so on and so on and so on, right? You know, women didn't get promotion without really working hard for them. The inequality of the situation was unfair. She had to prove herself day in and day out, not only to the men in leadership, but also to herself. But she managed to do it. However, she didn't do it alone. She needed help. She couldn't work 9 to 5 and be there for her kids, especially while being a single parent in the 1970s. In the word of Oprah, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. As successful women, we need to prioritize what we want and make hard sacrifices. We have to rely on others to help us achieve our goal and even cover some of our responsibility. Jane started to build a community to support her. She found her people, if I could call it, her friends, and got them in place. She'd ask her neighbors to help her with her kids, after school, her mom to keep home clean and cook meals, her friends to keep her motivated, as I was saying that earlier, and confident during those tough times. Those types of relationships are how Jane was able to break the pattern at her workplace and become a trailblazer in her industry. Not because she was special, no, or she was a genius, but she had a community, her people to cheer her on, to help her be a good mother and help her build her business skills. But you might think, I'm not good in groups. I'm a loner, or I just want to do it alone. So I'm going to give you 6 reasons not to do it alone. Collective wisdom. No one person ever has all the answers. And regardless of the amount of Google foo you may have, consulting with expert is always going to give you better information. Second one, pushing our limits. When working alone, it's oftentimes too easy to give up when things get hard. I can totally relate. But surrounding yourself with others working towards similar goal or objective, you'll get motivated, support, and friendly competition. That's always good to push yourself just a bit further when you wouldn't have done it on your own. 3, support and believe. Some days those goals just seem impossible. On those days when you want to give up, this is when you need to lean on your community the most. They believe in you, probably more than you believe in yourself. We need this at times. 4th, new ideas. I truly believe that when you are working within a community of like-minded people, the wisdom of other considerably greater than one person going it alone. Our divergent worldviews and ways of looking at the world mean we all approach the exact same problem, slightly different. Borrowed motivation, yeah. Even on those days when your belief in yourself isn't waning, doing what needs to get done can seem overwhelming. Looking around your community can be inspired. Accountability partner. I know when you're an Uber respond person, you may not want to admit to the people you care about and who's also pulling for you that you didn't do something that you said you'd do. So there's just there's nothing like having an accountability partner to up your game. Allowing others to help is difficult for some of us, but it ultimately raises everyone's game. And suddenly, that summit isn't nearly so far off, especially in such a time as now. So, a couple of brief tips. How to, locate, how can you find a community, as I'd mentioned earlier. They're actually all around us. If you haven't found a community yet, then there's a couple of things that you can do just to create one. Communication leads to community. That is to understanding to intimacy and mutual valuing. I started my own community by communicating more with people that I came in contact with, made friends with my neighbor, became interested in them, also showing genuine care. And in no time, the care and attention and love that I showed were reciprocated, and I began to feel welcome. And what else can I say? There was a time in my life I really didn't feel connected. I was in an abusive relationship. It was really a challenging time in my life. I was emotionally checked out and physically exhausted. Fortunately, my community helped me overcome the fears I had about leaving my relationship. At that time, the care and love they had for me was priceless. Have you had a similar experience? It's worth repeating. The greatest of community is most accurately measured by the compassionate action of its member. So aside with my community, businesswomen's community, I've always promised myself that in a world of algorithm, hashtag, social media followers, I would never forget the importance of human connection. That has helped me in my life journey. Again, there is power in community. Remember, we all stumble and fall at times, every one of us. That's why it's comforting. It's comfort to be able to go hand in hand. There you go. Thank you for being here. Yay.
Muted. There we go.
I said, I can't hear you, Ken.
I was, yeah. And then I went to click the unmute button. And then, of course, I hit another window altogether. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. You are awesome. You're a wonderful light that always brings joy to those that are around you. God, I sound like I'm preaching here, but it's true. It's always, Monette is part of our Safari program, and it is always fun to have her in the room with us because when she made a really good point, and that is that you don't matter unless you're missed, which I think was really a very interesting thing. And I hadn't thought about that. If you're not missed, then, so it does really make a difference. Monette, I want to thank you. You are a light. You are awesome. I love you to pieces.
Love you too, Ken. Thank you.
So everybody, that was the amazing Moderato. Salama. So there you go. So, all right. Up next, we have more World Love Week to continue. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hang on. We have more World Love Week coming up.
Thanks.
Hang on 1 second. I just stopped the recording to start another one. And everybody, we are waiting for Mr. Les Brown to enter the room. He has the link. I'm waiting to see what happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dance for a little bit because I don't know where Les is, which is always a fun. Here we go. Always a fun thing. So not quite sure what's happening there. So we can talk for a little bit if you want to hang out with me, Monette.
Sure.
So you've been watching a little bit of World Love Week so far. What's been your experience like?
It's so awesome with everybody's talents and sharing. And the amazing thing is you can. I mean, my gosh, this guy is crazy. 24/7. That is like, who does that? But because you give so much, people's gotta give more love out there. And not only that, you have some awesome speaker. Mr. Les Brown is awesome. He's in the chat.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the room, thanks, Monette. I
In
appreciate
the
that.
room,
And thanks for
yes.
hanging out with me and dancing for a little bit while we wait for the incredibly
Sure.
amazing. Look at this. Look at this. Les and the Les Brown Choir have arrived. It's pretty amazing. Ladies and
Yeah, yes, those are my children.
well, they looks like the Les Brown Choir to me.
I know. They say a good man leaves a legacy for his children and for his children's children. And I wanted to build a business with love that would involve my kids, making a difference, as well as having a business that can be profitable and allow them to become independent thinkers and entrepreneurs.
Well, you've done well, my friend, and because their reputation precedes them. But I figure, I'm looking at you and I'm like, these people are way too old to be your kids. I mean, I see Les Brown with kids that are, toddler, because I've known you for a long time. So
Yes.
for those who do not know the amazing Les Brown, let me share you with him. There we go. And let me share. That probably sounded a little bit dirty. Ladies and gentlemen, this man is legendary. He has changed and affected the lives of so many people from all over the planet for decades, if not centuries, because his message really does transgress the centuries of wisdom that really is on this planet. He is always a light wherever he is, usually when he comes into the room, and usually there's sadness when he leaves the room. So, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, one of the world's greats, and I'm so honored to have you on our stage, the amazing Mr. Les Brown.
Woo-hoo! Thank you so much, Ken. It's a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege to be here with you. I'm so excited to spend some time with all of you. And I want to ask you, what is it at this point in time, given the coronavirus and how disrupted it has been, as you look at your life, look at your goals, and look at your dreams? I found myself rethinking my life. Yesterday, I turned 76. And when you get in your 70s, you start thinking about the reality that the journey that has brought you here is longer than the journey that you have left. And so my goal has always been, as I tell my children, to finish strong. You learn, you earn, and you pass it on. And so I want you to think about, as you look at your life, the stage of your life, and how the coronavirus has affected you. And as you think about that, I want you to think about, as we realize and getting our head wrapped around that this is going to be with us. This is not going anywhere. Even with vaccines, they're talking about getting a shot every year. This has been challenging. It's been uncomfortable. It's been disruptive, but life is built on disruptions, and it's built on transformation, and it's built on decisions. And so as you look at your life, look at your goals, and look at your dreams, and that's what I've been spending some nights waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning. They say, when you awaken at 3 o'clock, the angels are talking to you. Angels, if you're listening, it's okay if you wake me up at 6 o'clock. I'll be fine with that. You don't have to wake me up at 3 o'clock. Okay. But I've been reflecting. I'm just laying there thinking about my life and what I'm going to do next, and how I can begin to create the next greatest version of myself, because I don't believe that I've done my best work yet. And I've done some things I feel good about, I feel proud about, but I've been patting myself on the back because I said, you know what? I am so glad that I made a choice that the future Les Brown said, I'm so glad you did that. because I was on another path. But I want you to think about your goals and your dreams. And what I want you to do is to realize that it's possible. I have my children here, and when I got on this path, they had a challenge with it. And I want you to write down sacrifice. My kids had a challenge with me living the life that I wanted to live. And that has been a life of serving humanity, a life driven with the love of helping people, making a difference in their lives. And they were very young when I started out. And so over the years, they had to share me with the public. They didn't like the fact, and they didn't tell me this till later when we would have lunch or dinner and people come over and said, "Oh, Les Brown, would you sign this for me?" They were angry and resentful. And somebody asked me the other day, what's one of the most happiest moments in your life? And I say, when my kids said, "Dad, we want to meet with you. We want to share something with you." And I'm asking myself, oh my goodness, what is this about? And they said, "We want you to know we're proud of you. Now that we're adults and we have our own goals and dreams, we realize that in order to live your dream, it takes a sacrifice. We were angry with you for the things that you missed, the special occasions. You made some, but there were some you couldn't be there. But now we're mature and we're in the same situation that you once were. And to be able to graduate and have no student loans, that's a wonderful thing. To be able to become an entrepreneur and be your own boss, that I learned from you, that's a wonderful thing. To have a good name, to have the ability to say, Les Brown is my father. Les Brown is your father? Yes. And people said, "Oh, I've been following him for years." Yesterday, a friend called me and she said, "Happy birthday." And she said, "What a wonderful thing. All your kids work with you and they all know your face." She said, "You take it easy here." And she hung up. It was a compliment, but also it was a punch in my gut. Whoa, your children know your face. I'm adopted. I was born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida, many of you know. And first, a foster kid, a twin brother and I, and then mama took in 6 other children. I've never seen my father's face. She made me think about that. I've never seen my birth mother's face. And I had a choice. See, at the end of the day, life is full of disruptions, transformation, and decisions. That disrupted my thinking. Whoa, I've never seen my father's face. Wow. In that moment, I could have become depressed. Transformation. I had to expand my feelings beyond the fact that I've never seen my father or mother's face. Decision. That I did see the face of Mrs. Mamie Brown, that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. I did see the face of Mrs. Mamie Brown, that when Father's Day came around, I gave her a Father's Day card as well as a Mother's Day card. I had a choice. See, at the end of the day, all of us are basically the same. And what separates us? The decisions that we make. And I'm asking you right now, make a decision from love, not from your pain, not from what you're lacking. I was chosen with love. I was not given away. And when you do that, God is love, and he who dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in them. When you make decisions from a place of love, when you answer the calling on your life, things are different. I speak just to speak because I love to speak. I talk in my sleep. As you think about yourself and think about the goals and things that you want to do, don't decide to do something just to make some money. If you do what you love, you put the time in and the effort in to master it, and people will pay you for your mastery because you will make yourself stand out. And so I want to share with you the journey, what it looked like for me, what it looked like to build a life from nothing but love. The love of doing what I do now as I talk to you. Tola, get me ready for the slide presentation to come up, please.
I
So
gotta take care of that.
yes. No, Tola.
No, I gotta take care of it. I gotta make you co-host. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, you now have the power. You now have the power.
Okay.
There you go.
Full screen, please. Okay. All right. So this is Mrs. Mamie Brown. Isn't she beautiful? She never had any children. She only had a third grade education. And at 46, she decided that she wanted to share her life with children. And that's Wesley and I, my twin brother. And which one am I? I'm on your right or on your left? Well, let me give you a hint. I'm the cute one. And we were born in poverty. We were poor, but we didn't know it. I've heard it's not where you start, it's where you're going. That's Wesley and I. We're eating 2 pieces of sugar cane. I remember doing a tour with 45, and the tour was called Millionaires in Training. And I remember 45, the Orange Man, saying, my father only gave me $200 million for my dream. Well, my mama gave us 2 pieces of sugar cane. But let me see what we did with that. I want you to write this down, hungrytospeak.com. It's the reason I'm giving you that, because your superpower now is the ability to present yourself, the ability to speak, the ability to sell your ideas. I'm selling you on your greatness. The ability to sell your knowledge, the ability to sell your experience, the ability to say to people who are going through a struggling time, empty pockets or a broken heart or failures, that you've gone through that, and your experience, your ability to speak to that, and it becomes a compass for them to know that if you can do it, they can do it. And you can have the combination, what I feel is the best combination on the planet, being able to make a difference and being able to earn money in the process of making a difference. And so just with 2 pieces of sugar cane. That's all you need. People talk about branding. Listen to me. And spend thousands of dollars on branding and 4-color brochures. All I had was 2 pieces of sugar cane. I didn't have any branding. I didn't have an infomercial like Tony Robbins. I didn't have a 4-color brochure. All I had was 2 pieces of sugar cane. Yeah, you might go out and get you some sugar cane today, all right? Okay. And I had a why. And my why was I wanted to take care of my mother. That's mama there. I'm a mama's boy, if you haven't gathered that yet. I feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And so Nietzsche said, if you know the why for living, you can endure almost anyhow. I want you to think about someone who made a difference in your life, someone that you admire. It might be your mother or your father. It might be your grandmother or grandfather. It might be an uncle or relative. It might be a teacher, a coach, somebody that as a result of your encounter with them, they took you to a place in yourself that you could not go by yourself. And it created a transformative experience that as a result of that meeting, you were never the same again. I want you to think about that right now. And as you think about that, I want you to say, my dream is possible. I want you to think about something you want to do for that person that's very, very special to you. Mine was to buy my mother a home. I did that. I bought her 4 different homes before she made her transition at 89. And I'm going to share with you how I did it. Because right now, your superpower is your ability to sit in front of a computer and be able to use your personality, to use your story, to use your voice virtually and make a difference in the world and don't have to expose yourself to any danger of a virus or anything. I have a mask over my microphone. Oh, behave, hello, whatever. Okay. And so who would have thought, looking at Wesley and I, that one of us would receive the highest award from the National Speakers Association? And I'm not saying this to impress you, but to impress upon you, you have something special. You have greatness in you. Your investment in yourself to develop your communication skills. If you work for a corporation, they take you through a series of interviews with people from various departments, and they'll get lined up waiting and watching how you handle it. It's a very pressured situation. And your ability to be hired is dependent upon your ability, how well you communicate. Isn't that interesting? In fact, that your ability to be hired is 85% dependent upon your ability to communicate, how you present yourself, 15% of your technical skills and your knowledge. I won the highest award from Toastmasters International. Some of you are familiar with Toastmasters. It's called the Golden Gavel Award. And they have to select someone from around the world to present this to because of the impact that they've made with their life and with their story. And the power of this, why are you sharing this with us? Because it enhances your credibility nationally and internationally. General Norman Schwarzkopf, Robert Schuller, Lee Iacocca, Paul Harvey, and myself, we were selected the top 5 speakers in the world by Toastmasters. I was the only raisin in the milk. Who would have thought? Come on now. You see why you need some sugar cane. You can change lives with your voice. And you speak. And I'm going to walk you through a process that you have the ability now, before the coronavirus, the suicide rate in America increased by 39%. Even young kids as young as 5 years old have committed suicide. How do you decide you don't want to be here and you've just been here 5 or 6 years? Because of their environment and because of their conversation with themselves and the conversations they hear from the people that's around them. And what I learned from the conversation that my mother shared when we were being raised in poverty, you're special, baby. You're going to do something special with your life. Oh, yes, I love you so much. And so being in that environment and hearing a conversation of love, That made all the difference. And when I think about people along the way, when you decide how you're going to forward your life, that you can have impact in so many ways. I remember a gentleman who had a disruptive impact on my life. When I was in the 5th grade, I was labeled educable mentally retarded. And I was put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade. And I failed again when I was in the 8th grade. And this instructor, very much like Ken, I was in his class and he said, young man, go to the board and work this problem out for me. And I said, sir, I can't do that. And he said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, do it anyhow. And I said, I can't, sir. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's DT. And he asked, what's DT? He has a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley is smart. He's DT. He's the dumb twin. And they all erupted in laughter. And I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And as a result of that, he disrupted the limited vision I had of myself. Faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing, even if it's a lie. And when you speak, when you are coaching, when you're encouraging someone, what you're doing is you're disrupting their self-explanatory style. And when I coach and I train speakers, and I want to give you a gift, I want you to go to hungrytospeak.com and teach you some strategies on how to distract, dispute, and inspire. Distract how people see themselves. And through the execution of your story and using your voice and examples and your knowledge, that you dismantle their current belief system and inspire them to become, as I love to say, as Mother Teresa said, a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter with their lives. Tola, bring me up, please. And so as you think about your goals and dreams, today, your superpower is you, your personality. It's you, your voice. It's you, your story. Because we've gone from brick and mortar to click and order. And so just think about the fact that when Warren Buffett, who's a billionaire, when he graduated from Harvard, the first thing that Warren Buffett did was he invested in a communication course. Warren Buffett said that if you can't communicate, he said, it's like being in a room with a woman and wink. He said, nothing happens if the room is dark. And so when you think about your goals and dreams, one of the most important superpowers that you have, that most people don't spend the time and the effort to invest in themselves, to learn how to become capable to speak to the world, that it gives you a competitive, sustainable advantage. Tola, play the video, give you some examples of that.
World-renowned speaker, entrepreneur, and best-selling author, Les Brown, rose from humble beginnings to become a leading broadcast and platform personality, recipient of an Emmy, and dubbed one of the world's top 5 speakers by Toastmasters International. His captivating delivery, incorporating humor, insights, and proven techniques, teaches, inspires, and challenges his viewers to ultimate levels of achievement.
I know something about you, even not knowing you, but you've got greatness within you. You have the ability to do things that you can't even begin to imagine. You have talents and skills in you that you haven't even begun to reach for yet. The ideal situation for a man or woman to die is to have family members praying with them as they cross over. He said, but imagine, if you will, being on your deathbed and standing around your bed, the ghost of the ideas, the dreams, the abilities, the talents, given to you by life, and that you, for whatever reason, you never acted on those ideas. You never pursued that dream. You never used those talents. We never saw your leadership. You never used your voice. You never wrote that book. And there they are standing around your bed, looking at you with large, angry eyes, saying, we came to you, and only you could have given us life. Now, we must die with you forever. The question is, if you die today, what ideas, what dreams, what abilities, what talents, what gifts would die with you? Maybe that's why Jim Rohn said, when the end comes for you, let it find you conquering the new mountain, not sliding down an old one. Maybe that's why Henry David Thoreau said, oh God, to reach the point of death, only to realize that you've never lived, only to realize that you've never scraped the surface of your potential. If you want to make your dream become reality, the people that are running at their dreams know that it's possible that you can live your dream, that it's necessary, that you're relentless, that you have a plan of action, that you are creative. There are two types of relationships. There are nourishing relationships and toxic relationships. Nourishing relationships, they nourish you, they bring the best out of you. They challenge you, they hold you accountable. They keep you focused. They bring the best out of you. Toxic relationships, they drain you. There's some people that you will never be able to get into business with. Why? Because they know too much about you. And they can't forget that. They can't shake that. You got to look at your relationships, and Jim Rohn said this. Look at the people in your life and ask this question. What is this relationship doing to me? What is it doing to me? Am I growing spiritually, mentally, financially, intellectually? What is it doing to me? If you're a young person, does it put you on the honor roll or get you on the detention list? What is it doing to you? There's a new term in psychiatry called relational illness. There's some people that can make you sick. Well, can I change them? No. It's a full-time job changing yourself. And there's some people that are so negative they can walk into a dark room and begin to develop. The people that are running after their dream know they're going to have hard times. They keep on running because they're saying within themselves, I'm the one. I'm the one. No matter how bad it is or how bad it gets, I'm going to make it. The people that are running after their dreams are the people that are hungry. Most people never achieve their goals because they don't know that they don't know and they think they know. Most people are just like Sig, who I consider the #1 motivational speaker on the planet. It's sad that most people like the lumberjack, whose wood production dropped by 40% because he wouldn't take the time to sharpen his axe. Those of you that are here for the first time, if you want to come back again, I can tell you the veterans who are here and been coming for 40 years or more, those are individuals who spend time working on themselves, developing themselves, expanding their minds. They know, as a man thinketh, so is he. They know in order to have the things tomorrow that others won't have, you've got to be willing to do the things today others won't do, like work on your mind. And with that kind of courage, with that kind of affirmation and reason to empower me, I got to say that when life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. All right? The people that are living their dream of finding winners to attach themselves to. The people that are living their dreams are the people that know that if it's going to happen, it's up to them. And they're resolving within themselves, it's not over until I win.
He talked about having personal growth before you can attain professional achievement. And when he said, better selling begins with a better you, that put the focus on the kinds of things that I can do myself and taking charge of my life. And when I do that, everything else falls in place. Les has the ability to inspire people to pursue their passion, to live their dream. Whether they're in sales or personnel, or whether they're just a machine operator, it's very, very important that you have some passion for what you do. And Les is right.
It sounds like we lost sound, Les.
Say it again.
We lost sound on the video.
No, that's the end of it. No, that's the
Oh.
end of it. Yeah, no, it's okay. We got this. Okay. Thank you very kindly. I show that to you not to impress you, but to impress upon you that you have greatness in you. You have the ability to do more than you can ever begin to imagine. Imagine those two little boys holding the sugar cane. Nobody would have predicted that one would go off to Vietnam and be wounded and get a Purple Heart with an honorable discharge after spending 24 years in military. And the other one will become a world-class speaker and motivator and spoken to countries all around the world. You have something special. You have greatness in you. Now, let me share with you what the process is that and why I'm encouraging you. And so many people have done this, gone to hungrytospeak.com. If you're ready to make a radical change in your life, number one, you have to work on your mind. I've created something called Choosing Your Future. It's the best work that I've done. And when you go to hungrytospeak.com, as you listen to that over and over and over again, faith comes by hearing and hearing and hearing. It's going to change your life. See, the reason that most people take their talents and abilities and skills with them to their grave is because of the fact that they don't spend time working on their mind. Be ye not conformed to this world, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. That's an ongoing process. I just turned 76 yesterday. I got up this morning and I was listening to something motivational. Why? Because whatever you listen to the first 20 minutes when you get up in the morning, it affects the spirit of your day. Next thing is, make this radical decision. Put yourself on a mental diet. Make a decision not to watch television or listen to the news for 30 days, just 30 days. And watch the difference when you listen to Choosing Your Future and don't listen to the news, CNN, constant negative news. Watch the difference in your attitude. It's going to make a radical difference. As I talk to you right now, I am a fourth stage cancer conqueror, fourth stage prostate cancer conqueror. My PSA was 2,400. I'm here in Atlanta, Cancer Centers of America. Dr. Taha said, "You are a tough cookie, a tough cookie." I said, "Why you say that? You've been dealing with fourth stage prostate cancer for 29 years. He said, "Who does that?" Your PSA is 2,400. That's what the records say here. And 1 to 4 is normal. Who does that? Mental resolve is what people need right now. See, it doesn't matter what happens to you. What matters most is what happens in you. Faith not tested can't be trusted. You don't know how strong you are until you have to be strong. You have something special with all the mixed messages and all the political chaos and all the drama we just came out of. Every day there was something. And now with the coronavirus and a mutation of it, and it's easier to catch and it's more lethal. It's enough to make you say, "You about to make me lose my mind up in here, up in here." This thing called life. That's why my favorite book said, "Think it not strange that you'll face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you, Banks, you will have tribulations." And you know, Forrest Gump, he said, "Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get." That's all I got to say about that. I have hot flashes. I used to tease my mother and my sister about having hot flashes. Now with the cancer treatments, I have them myself. But I'm still here. Somebody say, "How you doing?" I say, "The best day of my life." How could you say that every day? I say, "If you don't believe it, try missing one." Here's the other thing. Not only do you need the tools to fortify your brain, there's a African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm. Shakespeare said, the fort, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in our cells that we are underlings. As a man thinketh, so is he. As he continues to think, so he remains. So there's a lot of words out here to back up what I'm sharing. Next thing is, get around the right people. Develop loving, positive, nourishing relationships that bring out the best in you. The reason that most people fail, they don't practice the principle of what I call OQP, only quality people. See, there are some people you need to let go of. Les, can I change them? No, it's a full-time job changing yourself. My twin brother, I was trying to help him lose weight. I gained 25 pounds. No, I'm deliberate. If a relationship turns south, I'm out of there. I don't do drama. I don't do negativity. I'm deliberate of keeping positive, loving relationships in my life. And if you're not a part of that program, you can't be a part of my life. I don't answer my phone unless it's positive, unless it's productive, unless it's purposeful, unless it's something that's profitable and something that's going in the direction of where I'm going, that represents one of my passions. Find something that's you, something that you love. Don't come out here just trying to do something because you can make some money. Find something that's in your heart. Where your heart is, there your treasure is also. I speak because I love it. And I found ways to monetize it. And I teach others how to do it as well. A job is what you get paid for. Your calling is what you're made for. You are in your calling. You are in your element. You're living your life from a place of love. You don't need to know what time it is. You don't need to have an alarm clock. You are just in a certain special zone. When I speak, I'm in a certain zone. I'm telling you, when you are living your life from a place of love, you operate out of the thinking of Henry David Thoreau. You're stepping to the beat of a different drummer. Oh, when you're doing something that you love, it just brings something out of you. You have a perpetual smile on your face. Oh, behave. Hello, whatever. Somebody said, kid, you should have had him take his medication. I know. Here's something else. As you think about your goals and dreams, look at your relationships and ask the question, what kind of person am I becoming because of this relationship? Am I growing mentally and emotionally and spiritually and financially? My life, the influence and the impact these relationships have had on me. Am I living my life in a place where it's either a warning or an example? A warning of what not to do or an example of what to do. See, relationships rub off on you. You earn within $2,000 to $3,000 of your closest friends. So you have to have the courage to let go or be dragged. There are two types of relationships. There are nourishing relationships and there are toxic relationships. Nourishing relationships hold you accountable. They tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Nourishing relationships, they challenge you. They stretch you. Toxic relationships, they'll bring you down. Toxic relationships, they're highly critical of you. Toxic relationship will stunt your growth and compromise your ability to manifest your greatness. Greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. You are more than a conqueror. These things ye shall do, and greater things shall ye do. You are here to do the greater work. A greater work. When you think about that, herein my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, even with sugar cane. That's not equal to what Jesus did, converting water to wine. Okay, I'm not comparing that. Oh, behave. You can tell I'm a representative for a Jewish carpenter. But I'm telling you, you have miracle working power. And there's a reason I believe that God asked Adam, Adam, where are you? We have to ask ourselves, where are you? And he didn't ask the question because he didn't know. God wanted Adam to think, because life is a question, and how we live our lives is the answer. And Tennessee Williams said something that I think is profound. He said, there comes a moment in your life, and you look in the mirror, and you ask yourself the question, if this is it, is this all I'm going to become? Have I done all that I'm going to do? And that man in the mirror that Michael Jackson sang about said, yeah. You're looking at all that you're going to do and become. This is it for you. You have tapped out. Most people die at age 25 and don't get buried until they're 65. That's why Dr. Miles Monroe out of the Bahamas said, rob the cemetery of your dreams, of your gifts, of your talents, of your inventions, of your leadership, of your ideas. This event that has been brought together around love. God is love, and he who dwelleth in love dwelleth in God, and God in them. Today we need love. You know that song, What the World Needs Now is Love, Sweet Love. There's a level of evilness that's been released on the planet unlike I've seen since I was a kid in Miami, and going on Miami Beach with my mother, and saw signs that read Jews, dogs, and coloreds not allowed. There were places on Miami Beach a dog could go, but we could not go. And I never thought I would have to spend time explaining to my grandchildren why we are hated because of the color of our skin. I never thought that. I never thought that. It was an unsettling and challenging conversation, because they saw this white lady on television and she said, I hate you. She was at a Black Lives Matter event. I hate you, and I'm going to teach my kids to hate you. I'm going to teach my grandchildren to hate you. And they looked and they asked, why? I say, Papa can't answer that question. Here's what Papa can tell you. Something that Benjamin Franklin said, even though he was a slave owner. He said, until those who are outraged, the majority who are outraged by what's going on, as those who are affected, change will never take place. Because ultimately, when things happen in life, there's a victim, there's a perpetrator, and they're the witnesses. And most Americans are witnesses, because this country was built on racism. It's at the core, the DNA of the country. The majority of the people who signed the Declaration of Independence, slave owners. So, baby, in life, you will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges. See this as a God-ordained opportunity to love them. Don't be like them. Don't be hateful. No. Live your life from a place of love. Why, Papa? Because it's the thing to do. It's who you are. It's the right thing to do. Because that's you. That's how Papa got here. I love people. And I do what I love. And I have some difficulties and some challenges, but I keep it moving. And I deal with racism and discrimination, but in the spirit of love, I find a way to win. Oh, behave. No test, no testimony, baby. Faith not tested can be trusted. Elsie Robinson said, things may happen around you and things may happen to you, but the only things that really count are the things that happen in you. That's what we control. Choose ye this day whom ye shall serve. And always, Serena and Sierra, always, Sydney, choose the highest in you. Don't worry about what everyone else does. Worry about what you do and how you live your life. And they said, thank you, Papa. I wish I'd had my grandchildren first. I believe in aliens. Because I look at some of my kids and I say, oh my goodness, the body snatchers have 3 of them. I'm just kidding, but I'm serious. I know my mother's laughing, said, boy, you caused me so much problem, now you getting payback. So as you look at your goals and look at your dream and decide to live your life from a place of love, it's something that my mother used to love to hear me say, and I dedicate this to you. Leslie, yes, ma'am, Mama. Mama was a 22-year breast cancer conqueror. Say that thing for me, boy, that makes me feel good. I want to dedicate this to you and to your dream. I don't believe there's any accident that you're listening now. I believe that there's a reason that you're listening now. This is a God moment. And as you think about your goals and your dreams, I want to dedicate this to you. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it, and if you gladly sweat for it and fret for it and plan for it and lose all your terror of the opposition for it, and if you simply go after that thing that you want with all of your capacity, strength and sagacity, faith, hope, and confidence, and stern pertinacity, if neither cold poverty, famish, or gulf, sickness or pain of body and brain can keep you away from the thing that you want, if dogged and grim you besiege and beset it, with the help of God, you'll get it. This has been Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy and Ken's pride and joy. It's been a plum-pleasing pleasure as well as a privilege. God bless you. God bless your dream. And God bless your decision to live a heart-centered life of love. I would sing that song right now. What the world needs now is love, sweet love, but that's another ticket. You can't handle that voice. Oh, behave. So, Ken, do y'all have any questions you'd like to ask me?
Oh, good Lord. To have question time with the amazing Les Brown is a fantastic gift, my friend. I'm so grateful. We have 10 minutes before we head to our next speaker, so we can kind of hang out and chit chat. I want to hear more about how you have been navigating the whole past year and how that's been for you, because it's been a different experience for you to be on stages from home as opposed to stages as stages. How's that experience been for you?
Incredible. I will not fly anymore. It's over. Because I can speak in 1,000 places from my home virtually, as opposed to going to a hotel as after I get off a plane and speak in one place. It's a brand new day, and my business is running over. I'm turning down speaking engagements. I have speakers who have been speaking for years saying, now that you have time to work with us, would you train us how to tell a story like you, and how to use our voice and pregnant pauses, and how to incorporate laughter and humor in the presentation, and teach us how to do the things that allowed you to be able to develop a global reputation of transforming people's lives. And so I spend the most time doing one-on-one coaching. And that's why people who are listening now who would like to learn how they can earn more money speaking from home virtually than on the job that they're holding. That's a wonderful thing. I love it.
Yeah, I find the same thing, to not lose the time on the airplane, to not lose the time in the Uber, to not lose the time away from home and family. It's just, it's the new normal. And I got to tell you, it's really awesome. And the ability for me to connect with you in such a way where if you were on stage in Seattle, for example, I couldn't have you on stage here in Sydney.
No, you could not. And so, Ken, we're very blessed, because if a person will take the time and put in the effort to learn how to operate in this environment where we're gone from brick and mortar to click and order.
Yeah. Yes.
I can order the food that I want. I can have anything that I desire brought to my door. I don't have to leave the house to go shopping. They have Instacart. All of the conveniences that we desire, we can order them and they'll be brought to us. That's a good thing and that's a bad thing, because we're raising a generation of kids who don't have a hunger to change their lives, who don't understand struggle. There's power in struggle. There's a power in it that our kids will never know. They can Google their homework.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I wrote something down for my kids. I left them notes. They don't know how to read cursive.
Wow.
Because they type, they text.
Yeah, you're right.
My grandkids, okay?
Yeah.
So this is different. Then here's the other piece that's mind-blowing. In 2 months, I will record. I'll go into a studio. They will record my voice, and they will be able to upgrade knowledge and information and synchronize it with my lips. And my likeness will be projected on the screen, and I'll be able to teach from my grave. Hologram. That's deep.
That is. There's something about that.
Like the hologram with Michael Jackson, that's deep. And Tupac Shakur, that's deep. A hologram that Tony Robbins used, and he broadcast from London, broadcast from Los Angeles to London. That's different. I've seen a lot of stuff, but I've never seen this. It's a different world.
It is. It is so much of a different world. And it gives us different ways to connect too. Because when we're looking, it's like I'm looking at you right in the camera lens. I'm seeing you peripherally. You're down like below my eye right over here, but I'm looking right at you in the camera. And it's a whole different way to communicate and see our audience. I have screens behind the camera when I do my events. I have Zooms. I have 49-inch monitors behind the camera. So I look through the camera at the people on the wall. And
oh, you got to share with me how to set that up. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, it's.
I would love to do that.
I do miss my audiences, and so now I have them on the screen. And what I discovered after my last event, as much as my ego wants the Tony Robbins giant wall of humanity, right? My heart misses the individual cheekiness I can do with individual people and call them out. Look at Mary Jo and go, I see you, Mary Jo. That wasn't that funny, and just tease and so on. It's a better connection heart-wise. If you sell from the stage, it's better conversion significantly because people are seen. And we want, you called my name out a few times during the presentation today. Being seen, being known, you call that a few other names as well, matters to the hearts of people. So we're limiting the size of my Zoom rooms, even though we could scale it to the millions. And literally, I'm limiting the size so I can see everybody. I'm getting 4 screens and that's it. That's it.
That's different.
Yeah. And yeah, we can talk offline about how I'm doing that. But to me, it's critical that, and my team, here's my strategy. And I teach this, by the way, is they're going to monitor. If I call someone out, if I call up Bob and Billy and Sally and Tim and Serena, they're going to check it off. And whoever I've missed, I'm going to go, wait, we missed you today. Where's Sam? There you are, Sam. So everyone is seen.
That's wonderful. Yes. And they feel connected.
Yeah.
And part of, which is great.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's people, to me, it doesn't matter whether are you in Miami now?
No, I'm in Atlanta.
Are you in Atlanta still? Okay. Okay, cool.
Yes, I moved to Atlanta.
Okay, cool. I wasn't quite sure. And these days, who knows? You could be on the next condo down the street. It doesn't really matter. But the fun thing is that we're able to communicate in such a direct and heartfelt way that it doesn't matter. I mean, I look at the camera and go, come here, let's talk. And we really can have that level of connection that's just delightful. And that's a gift. That's a gift.
Do you use Clubhouse?
I do.
I do too. And I love Clubhouse as well.
Clubhouse it's amazing. I'm just starting to get more deeply involved in it. So there'll be Clubhouse rooms and so on. And my next event is in March. And so that will be used to invite people to come join us. And so I'm building the whole piece. It would be fun. We could do a room together. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, it would.
So yeah, it's this has been great. And for us to be able to reconnect like we did last year in Opportunitython and now with this and some potential other things, it is a joy. And it does make it so much easier for us. So I want to let everybody know that Les's links will be in the dashboard at worldloveweek.com/dashboard. So to get more of the amazing goodness that is the incredible Les Brown, Amy Brown's favorite son. I want to make sure that I'm just saying it, I heard that. I got that in my brain this morning.
Okay. Now they will get a free gift of Choosing Your Future. Those are 6 presentations that they're going to love. Live presentations I've done of my best work when they go there to hungrytospeak.com, as well as a free lesson on how to improve their presentation skills and their ability to speak and engage an audience and create a significant emotional event to transform them individually and collectively.
That's fabulous. You'll find it there at hungrytospeak.com and on the dashboard, just in case you disremember that we have the resources there for you. My dear friends, I want to, on behalf of everybody, I want to acknowledge, thank you in great gratitude, the amazing Les Brown. I love you, mister.
Love you. Thank you so much.
I'm honored to have you with us. Thanks, Les.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all persuasions, that was Les Brown, who I love dearly. Upcoming next is the amazing, you look fabulous.
Thank you.
Fabulous, Tony. Absolutely.
It took all morning to get ready.
No. Look at all the love behind you. This is stunning. Absolutely stunning. I want to introduce right now the incredible Tony Gittles. And let me just find your intro right over here so I can do this professionally. And I'm looking at someone else's bio. I don't want to introduce you as Jill Lublin. I want to introduce you totally as Tony Gittles. This is so funny. You're going to learn today how to communicate and serve your family caregiver clients, should you be in that business, because Tony is a certified caregiving consultant. She's an educator, international speaker, #1 best-selling author, and former instructor at the Baylor College of Medicine. Since taking care of her mom for 14 years, she's understanding the emotional, mental, and physical challenges of being a caregiver. Tony started Heartlight Enterprises as a tribute to her mom, as she saw a need to educate, support, and mentor family caregivers. She brings love, heart, and light to every conservation and conversation, as a matter of fact. Helps if you read that right. And she helps individuals find solutions to their challenges and find meaning in their caregiving journey. Tony helps businesses and healthcare facilities create caregiver caring communities. Ladies and gentlemen, by the powers of technology, the amazing Tony Gittles. Happy Love Week.
Thank you so much, Ken. This is absolutely the perfect week for your program and for me to be here. Obviously, February is the month of love, but also Friday, February 19th, is National Caregiver Day. So this is exciting for me to be talking about caregiving and training businesses on how to interact with family caregivers.
How perfect.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. One of the things, well, you shared in my introduction about my experience with my mother. I never thought it was going to be a 14-year journey. One of the things about caregiving is it's a totally uncertain future. And we're going to talk a little bit about how that impacts individuals, as well as a little bit about my experience. But I do have a PowerPoint presentation, and I would love to get into that. And I have a lot of information to share with businesses about caregivers and why this is important to them. Oh, let's see. Before I do that, I just wanted to say too, well, I wanted to acknowledge the crisis in this country. And I'm going to show our audience how to be part of the solution, how to become a leader in the community, but also prosper in business, because that's what this week is all about. And I'm not talking directly about the COVID-19 pandemic, although this pandemic is shining the light on what has been a relatively hidden problem to most people, to a lot of people. And I am talking about the 65 million people who are taking care of a disabled, chronically ill, or aging family member. Now, this is shocking, what I'm about to tell you. Surveys suggest that 30% of family caregivers die before the person they're caring for, and as high as 60% of those taking care of someone with Alzheimer's die first. So this is the reason we need to address the situation in the United States and actually everywhere. Okay. All right, here's my PowerPoint, and this is what, a family caregiver looks like. It's what I looked like when I was taking care of my mom, my beautiful mother in those pictures, and a friend who became a support person for me and a caregiver to my mother. And here's another shocking fact. The picture on the left, she's 98 years old. And I took care of her until she was 100, until she died in 2017. Now, this is what a caregiver and a care recipient look like on a good day, not on a stressful day. Topic today is how to communicate and serve your family caregiver clients. Also, you can actually apply this information to yourself if you are a caregiver, to your employees, and it's good information for all individuals to understand. So I mentioned the scope of the problem. We're actually all in this together. We are likely to be caregivers at some time in our life, or we will require care ourselves. That's also a shocking statistic, and it's something that people don't realize, so they don't prepare to be a caregiver, and no one's taught them, in fact, how to prepare to be a caregiver. But that's part of my mission with my company. I'm going to talk about actions you can take in your business to encourage you to become a caregiver caring business. We're going to do that by having you learn about the caregiving experience, how to communicate and interact with caregivers. I can talk about the experience, but it's kind of like ballroom dancing. You can watch Dancing with the Stars and you can get excited and you can enjoy it. And then you can sign up for lessons and you can find that you're stumbling all over the dance floor. You don't understand the experience until you're actually there. But I'm going to do the best I can to describe this for you and what we go through as caregivers. Why do we need love and relationships? Because it's a struggle. Caregiving is an emotional journey for everyone, no matter how long the caregiving experience lasts. And they say, I've read a couple of studies, some say it's an average of 4 years, some say it's an average of 7 years. And when I read that it was an average of 7 years and I was in year 2, I kind of pulled my hair out because that's a long journey. That's a long experience to have that impacting your life. I'm going to talk to you about the stages of caregiving, and I give credit to Denise Brown, who has been a caregiving expert for years, interacted with caregivers, and wrote a book called The Caregiving Years, 6 Stages to a Meaningful Journey. So that is information as compliments of Denise. We're going to look at what surveys tell us caregivers need from a business. And then what I really want you to take away is actions that you can actually incorporate. And a lot of them are going to be simple and others are going to require a commitment and time. So how does caregiving usually start? Well, you know, people plan for vacations, they plan to go to college, they plan for having a baby, but people don't plan for becoming a caregiver. It's when a crisis occurs unexpectedly. Could be an accident on the freeway, it could be a healthcare issue, but people are suddenly thrust into a caregiving role. So what happens to that caregiver? Well, it suddenly impacts their time. It can impact their money, career plans, their future, their sense of freedom, because now they have to put attention on another individual. They're running their life, but they may be running the life of the other individual. Stress level, anxiety, this can be a 24/7 job and last on average 7 years. I know, although I eventually put my mother in an assisted living facility, the phone rang at all hours with emergencies. And the most popular hours I got a phone call were 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. So I really felt like I was on call all the time. And they were usually emergencies that required a visit to the emergency room. So any normalcy that we actually have in our life is completely interrupted. and especially at the crisis stages of the caregiving experiences. And that's what we're going to talk about in a few minutes. Caregivers feel isolated. Here's the big one. They don't feel understood. And often their circle of friends decreases because people don't know how to interact with someone taking care of another person, because they disappear a lot too. They're not available all the time, but they do need help and they often don't ask for it. Caregiving is an emotional experience, and I just picked out some words that stood out for me, but there's a lot more. There's anger, annoyance, anticipation, despair, emptiness, fear, grief, guilt, helplessness, loss, sadness, confusion, worry. I am an only child. I felt somewhat obligated. However, I had promised my mother to take care of her, and we had a loving, wonderful relationship. So I entered into it, with some anticipation and anxiety, but vowing and with the intention that I would create the best possible experience for both of us, that she would receive quality care, and that we would create enjoyable moments when it was possible. Questions that come up very often in the caregiver's mind are, am I doing enough? What's enough? I kept thinking, when's the next emergency? Because over 14 years, we were in the hospital a lot. We were in the emergency room a lot. And all of a sudden that day is totally disrupted. There could be unfulfilled expectations, no time for self, and self-care. And caregivers do experience a lot of health issues as a result of caregiving because we put our care recipient first. And it looks like there's just no time to take care of ourselves. So the stress is phenomenal in most experiences. All right, I want to give you some information about the stages of caregiving and why is this important? Well, first of all, you may not know one of your clients or even employees is a caregiver because people still don't talk about it a lot. But trust me, you know caregivers. They are your extended family, your relatives, they're your neighbors, they're your friends, they are your employees and your neighbors. I actually didn't talk too much about my caregiving experience, even over those 14 years, although my closest friends knew I was caring for my mother. But they did not share with me that they had also cared for their mother. I actually didn't find that out till after Mom passed, and I started asking questions of people. And there were all sorts of stories, and these were closest friends that I had no idea about. So Denise DeBrown has broken this into stages, and in my mentoring with family caregivers, it really helps to break down the experience, again, because it can be long. It can be a long journey, but also the caregiving stages are designed with coping strategies, a lot of assistance in how do you be a caregiver? What should you be focusing your time on at any particular moment? And they're fluid and flexible. So you may find yourself in stage 3, and then you're back in stage 2, and then 3, and then 4. So I'm going to try to make some sense out of this for you. But we actually include a stage before you're the caregiver. We really say everybody is an expectant caregiver. You may be concerned that a family member or a friend will need assistance because of their age, a past or present health condition, or current living situation. I was well aware that my mom was aging, but I was living in California and she was in Florida. And until I got a call that she needed help because a doctor wasn't resolving her pain, it suddenly occurred to me how old she was and that time could be limited with her. So that got me into action and paying attention. She was very healthy up until the age of 85. So we were very lucky about that. But we did do some preparation in case I needed to become her caregiver. And in the expectant stage, the coping strategy is to ask questions of the person you think you're going to be taking care of. So in this case, my mother, and finding out as much as I could, and this can be difficult conversations, as much as I could about financial dealings, her legal documents, making sure they were in order, and also definitely getting information about her medical history as well as medications. I mean, every time you go to a doctor, you've got to fill out a history form. So what we did was create documents that had all that information, so it became less stressful to continue filling out those forms. So this is the early stage, and this is a stage where I can help people prepare to be a caregiver. The next stage is the freshman caregiver. You begin helping on a regular basis, weekly or a few times a week. You might be running errands, driving to doctor's appointments, for example. You might actually be helping manage the household, paying bills, and maybe even hands-on care. I kind of came in at the freshman stage because I flew from California to Orlando to take my mom to the doctor and find out why she wasn't getting the help she needed. The doctor actually didn't help much. He told my mom that he couldn't help her, that she was getting older, and what did he expect her to do? That kind of blew us away. We expected you to kind of solve her pain problem. He really wasn't cooperative, and we wound up changing doctors because you cannot have people on your team that are not giving you their full attention and their full resources. I actually asked him to refer me to a gerontologist, and he said, I see old people all the time, so I don't need to do that. Okay, that's a horrible story, but it was shocking at the time, and I realized I had to be proactive and be an advocate for my mother and find resources that I needed. The next stage of caregiving is part of the middle stages, and we call it entrenched. This now is where you are involved daily, if not constantly. You structure your day to be available, and you often wonder, how long can I do this? Because it's starting to wear on you. My experience in the entrenched stage was mom called me one morning. She was in her bed. Fortunately, there was a phone at her bedside, and she told me she couldn't get out of bed to go to the bathroom, and she couldn't move. Well, I had moved home definitely by this time, several years earlier. And this is, what I was anticipating, needing to be there if there was an emergency. I rushed over, got her to the bathroom. That was the first thing. Got some clothes on her, got her to the car. Fortunately, she was able to move a little bit, and we went to the emergency room. It turns out she had a life-threatening infection in her spine, although it was never completely identified or diagnosed. But I was, my whole life now was consumed with interacting with the doctors, being at the hospital as much as possible, and anticipating the outcome of this. She did survive, and I was told that to prepare for the worst, though. I mean, this was a critical situation. And the neurologist also told me that if she did survive, she would never live independently again. Well, I was actually more prepared for the end of her life and then for taking care of her over a length of time. So my mind kind of went crazy and started thinking about resources in the community and trying to learn what I needed to do next. Well, like I say, she survived for 11 years after this, and I did move her to an assisted living facility. Being an only child, I really needed a team of support, and knowing we had the financial resources for that was very helpful. Well, after you're a caregiver for a while, you become very pragmatic about all of it. Your approach becomes practical, realistic. You learn about the healthcare system. You learn a bit of advocacy. with doctors, with healthcare professionals. But the fun thing about this is you've cultivated a sense of humor, and that's a critical tool for caregiver survival. So this is what caregivers report. They get used to being a caregiver. They learn the ropes, and they don't take quite everything so seriously. And we've got some experiences around this, and they have to do with every time we went to a restaurant and she was capable of doing that and she was in a wheelchair, she had incontinence issues. So before the dessert was served, I had to get her to the bathroom quickly. And that's difficult. And this was before COVID. So this was difficult in a crowded restaurant. Fortunately, they did have handicapped spaces in the women's room. So that wasn't the issue, but just working fast enough to prevent an accident. But you know what? At that point, accidents were normal, and I decided not to invest a lot of energy in it. And we would go back to the table, we would clean her up, go back to the table, and enjoy our dessert. The next stage, these are the later stages now, and stage 5 is called transitioning. And this is when you could be caring for someone for some time now, or it could be a short-term caregiving experience. A lot of times we don't know how long that experience is going to last. But at times we can sense the end is near. My mom was actually on hospice care for 2 years because of some of the medical diagnosis qualified her for that. And I was eager to have all the help I could get. But there was a time when she was complaining about pain, and the pain could not be controlled. She was nearing her 100th birthday at the time, and she recognized that she was possibly nearing the end of her life. We had conversations all throughout 14 years. So there wasn't a tremendous amount to say except expressing our love and reminiscing a little bit. She did die a week later. And the transitioning phase is not only is the person transitioning to their death, but the caregiver. As a caregiver, you're transitioning. And this is difficult, especially after focusing all your attention for 14 years on another human being, one that you loved tremendously and were creating memories with. The caregiver really goes through a sense of loss about not having that in their life anymore, even though it's stressful. It occurs as a missing, and then figuring out, what do I do with the rest of my life? It's a hard question for a lot of us. The final stage is called Godspeed. And in transitioning, your role as a caregiver is starting to end. This can last up to 2 years. You've lost your loved one, your identity as a caregiver, and you're really trying to figure out your future. It was during this time, it was about 3-4 months after my mom died, that I realized I did have a purpose in this world. And that was because there was so much help I could have used as a caregiver, and I couldn't find a resource for that. I couldn't find somebody who had been through an experience and who was mentoring new caregivers on their journey. There was so much to learn. It would have relieved so much stress if I had known more and if I had had someone to talk to. I became a certified caregiving consultant and educator, and eventually led support groups as well. And that's my passion now, because caregivers need assistance. They should not have to go through the stress. And we need caregiver caring communities as well. So the bigger vision is that the world starts to recognize and be respectful and offer services for caregivers. So those are the 6 stages. It may or may not help you identify what a person needs, but if they're in stage 3 and they're entrenched, they're not going to be in your office and they're not going to be buying from you, but they are going to be going through a very emotional time. There are a lot of surveys with caregivers. So as far as your business, they will spend time and money when they feel understood and when your product solves a problem. So hopefully you have a little bit more understanding very basic, but we can, we can go in depth in future webinars or customized seminars for your business. But also they're focusing on what product do you have that solves my problem. Caregivers often fear it's going to take too much time and money for your services. And once they commit, there's no way out. So offering some kind of guarantee or promise of results is something that could be possible in your business. Also, when talking to them, keep it simple. Caregivers, maybe you can tell, are already overwhelmed. When they show up, and especially if it's for an appointment, respect their time, respect their money. We used to go to an eye specialist, and this was in the later stages of taking care of Mom. And they used to make us wait an hour before seeing the doctor. And with Mom's incontinence problems, that was very uncomfortable. It's just anybody is uncomfortable waiting in a doctor's office for an hour. I eventually started requesting that they give us some specialized treatment because waiting was a real big issue and it was exhausting. So here's some specifics now. What can you do to make caregivers more comfortable doing business with you? Focus on what you need or what they need. Well, I already said keep the language and explanations simple. Let them ask questions if they need more information. Rethink how you handle tardiness or canceled appointments. Could be absentees at work. If I'm rushing my mom to the hospital, I just may not have time to call you and cancel my appointment. And there shouldn't be repercussions from that. A warm, friendly welcome, whether it's on the phone or in person, because you are building a relationship. So look at what are you doing to build a relationship with all your customers, but specifically if you know they are caregivers. Now here's some very specific ideas too. You could offer a free gift. There are many senior Blue Book resource directories across the country. You can provide a free decorative bag with delicious chocolates inside. You can do that for all your customers. You can promote National Caregivers Day, National Caregivers Month, which is November. There's Alzheimer's Awareness Month and many other holidays. You can attend a virtual caregiver conference. A lot of them are at no cost these days, or a webinar, and learn more about caregiving. And it'll be helpful to yourself as well. You can become an advocate for caregivers or a cause, for example, Alzheimer's.org in your community, and you can promote that. Also, you can hire me to train your employees, to mentor your employees that are caregivers, and to provide helpful and informative programs for your caregivers. And I had a lot of other ideas. You can actually, put a sign in your window. Once people start going back into businesses, or a sign on your welcome desk, your receptionist desk, that we love our caregivers. You can give a discount or do something just to make them smile when they walk in. And especially if they walk in with a mom in their wheelchair, perk up and pay attention and give a little love. Ken, I'm offering several free items. One is on my website, 21 Mistakes Caregivers Make and How to Avoid Them. It's an ebook. And again, the whole idea is information and education for both ourselves as possible future caregivers or those needing care, as well as those currently caring for an individual. Now, also, I'm offering a free business consultation. So if businesses want to give me a call, we can talk about how further any of these ideas that might be appropriate to their specific business.
Tony, you are awesome.
Thank you.
Fabulous presentation. I learned so much about you and about your family, and it does land very, very deeply with me and my life and my family as well. So I want to thank you so much for being with us today. You are awesome and such a professional, landing the plane exactly on time. You're tremendous. Ladies and gentlemen, incredible Tony Gittles. Thanks so much, my friend. You're awesome.
Thank you so much, Ken. It was terrific.
Makes a big difference in helping us share exactly what is important in families and in lives and so on. So, ladies and gentlemen, Tony Gittles coming.